Welcome in everybody to this week's edition of Valpo Football Weekly. Brandon Vickery with you. Glad to be joined by the head coach of the Valpo football program, Landon Fox. Valpo Football Weekly is presented by our good friends at Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute. And there's no doubt about it. It was a heartbreaker on Saturday, 26-25 loss in the Hoosier Helmet rivalry game. Hey, what was your message to the team after, or what's your message going into practice this week?
Yeah, the message is kind of like you said, it's disappointing. But at the same time, that being said, we had the ability to control the outcome. And I know that's to be said all the time. But when I mean that is just simple things in terms of you have to have the ability to make extra points and field goals. And, you can't muff kicks. And so we have to be able to do those things, the easy things well. And so that, when, you get yourself in a position to, when we gave up 6 points, two extra points, and you could really say the third one because we had to go for two, and then the missed field goals, you leave 6 points out on the field, and then that to me that's the difference in the game. And so, that being said, but then there are a lot of areas in terms of we weren't able to get off the field in the second half, and then just the consistency on offense. We had over 450 yards of offense, but then like I said, it was a 25 points to show and could have been 31. And so just consistency there. So that was the message to the guys after the game.
You touched on the special teams, and it's been such a great strength of your program since you came to Valpo. More on how do you explain what happened on Saturday in that unit, and how do you straighten it out going forward?
Yeah, I'd just say that, number one, you got to look at the coaches and making sure we're putting the players in the right position to be successful first and foremost. It starts with us. And so I take a good look at that this week and make sure that the scheme, from punt return, kickoff return, field goal block, all those, the schematics are correct. And then you have the right people in the right places. And, we put a lot of time and effort into special teams. And so, if you're going to make that commitment to it, it needs to show on Saturdays.
Aaron Dawson broke a program record that stood since 1949, PFL record, tied an FCS record with that 99-yard run, back-to-back 150-yard rushing games for him the last 2 weeks. Hey, what does he bring to the table? What stands out to you about Aaron Dawson?
Yeah, the thing about Aaron Dawson is, from my perspective as a head coach, is he's a good football player, but he's also just a selfless football player. And he's not a guy that's going to, complain about carries, not going to complain about touches or this or that. He's going to go out and do his ass off. And if you watch him block, he's an extremely good blocker. And so, it's when you have those kind of people part of your program, you have the chance to be successful. And so, as the head coach and, as a guy that enjoys seeing a good player do those other things, it's going to help your whole team say, hey, this guy has the ability to make a lot of plays, but he's going to do all the other things well. That really makes a difference. And if you want to talk about a guy, he's a fifth-year senior. He practices as well as anybody, and very intentional about everything he does out there. And so, from that perspective, that's what gets me excited.
You touched on Max Franco in the post-game press conference, but I wanted to highlight him again here with the 12 tackles on Saturday. He's the guy, from the time he came into the program, you've been very high on him. What is it that stands out to you about Max Franco?
Yeah, his competitiveness. He's a guy that, plays with a little bit of an edge, and, it's very important to him. And so his ability to have that will and that want to, hey, I'm going to get to the ball, I'm going to find a way to get to the ball, and to be able to do it, in terms of effort at a high level for a long period of time, so he can do that. Still got to work some consistency in his play. And, it's only, this is his first year playing kind of our nickel position. And so that will come, I have no doubt with that. But from a productivity standpoint, there's a lot of want-to in terms of getting to the ball, and allows him to make plays.
Morehead State has always been a tough place for Valpo's program to play. The program hasn't won there since 2006. Morehead State's won 14 of the last 15 overall. What do you have to do to turn it around in terms of the head-to-head series? What makes it such a tough place to play, and what can you tell us about this year's version of the Eagles?
Yeah, to me, it's just they have some very good athletes, on both sides of the ball, and And then that being said, they do, the line is good on both sides, in terms of the big guys up front offensively that can move you off the ball, and then defensively have the ability to get after the quarterback. But it is a challenging place to play from the standpoint. I mean, you're driving 6 hours, down to Moorhead, Kentucky, and then for us and most teams, you have to stay in Lexington, which is an hour away. And so, to me, you have to eliminate those distractions and those excuses, and just know, hey, that's the part of it. And so you're going to have to mentally prepare yourself throughout the week. This is what's going to happen. This is how we're going to do it. And then be willing to go down there and play in a game where, they're a very confident football team. So we have to, share that same confidence through our preparation during the week, and then execute at a high level. In terms of execution at a high level for a long period of time, we did that for a half this last week, but we need to put it together for 60 minutes.
There is the head coach of the Valpo football program, Landon Fox. Again, Valpo at Moorhead State on Saturday afternoon. You can watch the game on ESPN+. This has been Valpo Football Weekly, and it's brought to you by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute.